miseries. So the proper understanding of our constitutional position as the eternal servant of Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence. The struggle for existence means we're struggling against the influence on this body of the modes of material nature, which are gradually deteriorating the body. We're losing our hair, losing our teeth, losing our eyesight, we're losing everything gradually. And it's enough to drive someone crazy. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle not to lose this tooth. It's a struggle not to lose this hair. It's a struggle not to lose your eyesight. But every day, little by little, we're losing these things. And we have to struggle to eat, to sleep. We have to defend ourselves. All these things. It's always a struggle. So here it's saying that when we develop transcendental knowledge, and what is that transcendental knowledge? It's to know that we're the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not your next door neighbor who's the servant personality of Godhead. It's not some yogi that's the personality of Godhead. It's Krishna. When you're convinced of that, and you surrender to Krishna by dedicating your time, your energy, your thoughts, your money, your body, everything, at that point you're situated on the transcendental, on the boat of transcendental knowledge, and that boat can cross the ocean of material suffering. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of ignorance, and sometimes as a blazing forest. Yeah, samsara dava nalalidaloka. So one's existence in this world is considered to be within a forest fire. And there's blazing fire all around us. And the only thing that can save us is the merciful rainfall, a deluge of rain. It'll put the fire out. And the deluge of rain, that is the mercy of the bona fide Guru, who can liberate us from this ocean of suffering. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time it is most sublime. So, very simple. What does it mean? If you understand that you're the eternal servant of Krishna, you understand who Krishna is, then you understand who you are, and you dedicate your life to serving Krishna, immediately all your problems are over. And they're over forever, because you will not infringe the laws of material nature by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit activities outside of marriage, and regularly chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Bhagavad Gita, as we're doing now, and engaging in service in the temple, in the association of devotees, and eating only Mahaprasadam, what has been offered to the Lord, then this is perfect knowledge and perfect practice. Then this boat of Krishna consciousness will take you across the ocean of material suffering. Yitaidam si samignognir basmasat kuru Arjuna. Jnana agni sarvakarmani basmasat kuru te tata. That as the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. And what is the fire of knowledge? That is understanding your relationship with Krishna. You are the servant, Krishna is the master. We are infinitesimally small, Krishna is infinitely great. And our relationship is one of service. We serve Krishna, who's the supreme guru and the supreme spiritual master. All of a sudden, this knowledge is like fire. It burns away the reactions of our previous sins. Now, but knowledge has to be put into action. So those sins are burned up as we engage in devotional service in a regulated way, not whimsically, not when I feel like doing it, but when I'm duty-bound to do it every day. At that point, the action begins of massive purification of the heart. So this fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but even the reactions of pious activities, because pious activities also bind us to the cycle of birth and death. It's not only impious activities. Whether you do pious activities or impious activities, you have to take birth again to get the reactions. Therefore, by engaging in Krishna consciousness, there's no reactions, neither good or bad. There's only spiritual benefit. So we have to understand, there's three types of karma. There's karma, akarma, and vikarma. So karma means acting according to Vedas, but in order to improve our situation in life. And vikarma means acting against the Vedas, by which we engage in sinful activities and we ruin our life. And akarma means acting in Krishna consciousness, and there's no reaction, neither good or bad. There's only spiritual benefit. Then we are liberated. But even if you commit good karma, you're still bound up by the laws of karma, and you still have to take birth. This is not understood by most people. You cannot be free of the laws of karma simply by doing good karma. You can only be free of the laws of karma by engaging in pure, unalloyed devotional service. There's a major difference between pious activities and pure devotional service. Pure devotional service has no material motive. The only motive is to please Krishna. And one is ready to sacrifice everything in order to please Krishna. This is explained in the 3rd chapter, where it is said, it is said, 3rd chapter, 30th verse, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya yatma chetasa nirasir nirmamo bhutva yujasva vikita jwara. 3rd chapter, 30th verse, therefore, Arjuna, surrender all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claim to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, laziness, fight. So this verse indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties, as if in military discipline. And such an injunction makes things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of a living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of Krishna, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become the subordinate servant of the desires of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Arjuna was ordered to fight by Krishna as if he were a military commander ordering his soldier. And one has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supersoul, or Supreme Lord, Krishna, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. So this is an explanation of what pure devotional service is, as opposed to simply pious activities. Most people engage in pious activities. In fact, most gurus in India engage their disciples in pious activities. That is a recipe for disaster, because the disciple will take birth again over and over to get the good results, but nothing is ever completely good in the material world. Everything is mixed, good and bad. So that just keeps the disciple in the cycle of birth and death. It doesn't solve the problem. Therefore, there are very few genuine devotees, genuine gurus. There are many pseudo-gurus, and because they preach pious activities, people think, oh, this is good. Actually, it's not good. It can help you a little bit, but it's not going to solve the problem. Just like it helps a little bit when I have a boil on my hand and it's really burning and hot and itchy. I go, I blow a little cool air on it, and I get a little relief for like the time I can blow on it. But as soon as I stop blowing on it, immediately the itching, the burning heat comes back again. So that is not a solution to the boil. The solution to the boil is you have to pierce it, lance it, and cut out the root of it, and then it'll heal. Or you have to go through a major detoxification of the body to get rid of all the toxins that are causing the boils in the first place. Boils are never alone. They spread. They're communicable. So if you get one boil, you'll get 3 boils. Right? I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Because it's a communicable thing. Because it has a root that is infected. And it's deeper into the skin. It's not on the surface of the skin. All you see on the surface of the skin is the red hotness or the pus. So it has a deeper root. To get that root out requires a certain endeavor of let's call it purification. So to get the root out of selfish endeavor is very difficult. And simply doing pious activities only inflames the selfish endeavor. It doesn't heal it. So there's such a thing as karma and akarma. Akarma means activity that has no reaction. There's no good result, there's no bad result. There's simply spiritual benefit. So this is the difference between nonchalant, whenever it feels good, I'll do some service, and dutiful service. Dutiful means you have to do it all the time. You can't say, as Rudyard Kipling said, theirs is but to do or die. Theirs is not to question why. So it's the same in pure devotional service. We don't question why anymore. We became convinced by reading Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are His eternal servant. That Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee representative. He's not teaching pious activity. He's not teaching impious activity. He's teaching pure devotional service, which is different than pious activity. So therefore, once we become convinced of that, from that point on, we don't ask any more questions. We simply engage dutifully in devotional service. I mean, it's not that you're not allowed to ask a question, but you don't, after reading Bhagavad Gita and taking initiation, if you say, well, why do I have to listen to what the Guru says? That means you didn't read anything, you didn't understand anything. You had plenty of time to make a decision if you're going to follow Krishna's instructions and Krishna's representative, the bona fide Guru, who doesn't deviate from Krishna's instructions. So after that point, you no longer have to question why you have to follow. However, one may have a question and say, well, how come I'm not following so strictly? That is a question. And the Guru can point out the fault in the practice. But you never ask a question, why do I have to follow? That means you're a nonsense. That means you didn't understand anything. Okay, so then we cannot be happy independent of Krishna's cooperation. We can't do anything without Krishna. We can't commit sins, we can't perform pious activities without Krishna's help, because our body is under the control of Krishna. How do we know that? Well, you don't know how you're digesting food. You don't know why your heart is beating regularly while you're sleeping. You don't even know what you're doing when you're asleep, but yet your body is functioning. And there's millions of different things that are going on in the body that you have no control of. They're happening automatically because it's under the control of the devatas who are under the control of Krishna. So we're not independent either in sinful activity or in pious activity. We always depend on Krishna. Therefore, we cannot be happy independent of Krishna. We must cooperate with the Lord. So therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta Bhadram, Nimitta Bhadram, Bhava Savyasachin. Nimitta Matran Bhava Savyasachin. O Arjuna, you simply become an instrument of my will. So, therefore, Arjuna says, Nasta moha smritir labva tat prasadat mayuchyata stitosmi gata sandeha karisye vachanam tava. Now, Krishna, my moha, my illusion is over, and I can remember who I am. I'm your eternal servant. That's who I am. And this remembrance, this is your prasad, your mercy on me. And now I'm situated in my right position. I don't have any more doubts. And now, whatever you say, that's what I'm going to do. That's called dutiful action. Whatever Krishna says, that's what we do. So that's called military discipline. So, and then we discharge our duties without claim to proprietorship. We don't believe in what Karl Marx said. Karl Marx said it doesn't matter that the capitalist puts up the money, builds a factory, but the workers, they make the products, they transform the raw materials into a product, therefore they should be the proprietor. That's the Marxist, communist idea. And the capitalist idea is, wait a minute, the owner of the factory put up the money, the owner of the factory took the risk. The owner of the factory pays the workers an honest wage for the work they do. Therefore, the product belongs to the owner of the factory. And Marx said, no, that's not right. Okay, so why he put up the money? Actually, we'll take all their money away from them, and the state will put up the money. And then the workers are the owners of the products. But yet, the Soviets, when they established communism, they didn't do that. The government took all the money. It was never really a real communist state. It was a socialist state where the government takes all the money and pays the workers instead of the owner of the factory. They become the owners of everything. They own the banks, they own the companies, they own the transportation, they own the internet, they own everything. And everybody's just a worker. You know. So, it's all cheating. Actually, neither the workers are the owners, neither the capitalist is the owner. Krishna is the owner of everything. Sarvaloka Maheshwara. Bhoktaram Yagatapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Gyatvamam Santinrichyati. You will attain real peace when you understand these three things. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices. Krishna is the ultimate proprietor of everything. And Krishna is your best friend because he's situated in your heart. He is giving you the ability to do whatever you want. Just like today, the number one top Supreme Court judge died. He just died, just fell down dead and died. And he's the number one, Antonin Scalia. Number one, most brilliant Supreme Court judge. He's dead. His time was up. No more, none of these, wait a minute, Yamaraj, I'm not ready to go. There's too many important things to do. No, he's taken out. Right? What was he thinking of at the time of death? Who knows? I don't think he was thinking of Krishna. So, you see, we're not in control. Krishna is in control. Therefore, if we learn all these things, we get situated in the transcendental boat of knowledge. As it says, Sarva Jnana Planeva Naiva. Planeva, Jnana Plavena means the boat of transcendental knowledge. And what does it do? It burns away all sinful reactions. We become free of our previous karmas. Okay, so this verse today, Prasanta Manasam Yenam Yoginam Sukam Uttamam Upaiti Santa Rajasam Brahmabhutam Akalmasam. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me, Krishna says, verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme. That means we're part and parcel of Krishna. Mamayavam sa jiva bhuta jivas loka sanatana. We're the eternal part and parcel. That means we're qualitatively one, quantitatively different than the Lord. So it says he realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme Lord, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. So this knowledge is so powerful that it frees us from the reactions to our past sins. So we explained this 3 different verses tonight. And then, when we become free, then we can engage full-time in Krishna's service without any fear or hesitation or any doubts in our mind, just like Arjuna. Brahma Bhutam Akalmasam. When one is liberated by identification of oneself as the eternal servant of Krishna, that means Brahma Bhuta means identifying oneself as the eternal servant of the Lord, then Akalmasam, one is freed from all past sinful reactions. So this Brahma Bhuta stage, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochiti Nakangshati Samaksarve Subhutesu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Brahma Bhuta stage is liberated stage. When one is liberated from all misconceptions. Liberation doesn't mean you sprout wings and you fly up to Swarga or Vaikuntha. That's not liberation. Liberation means you're liberated of all misconceptions in this world. You definitely know that you're the eternal servant of Krishna, and Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. That is liberation. So that's the Brahma Bhuta stage. And then in that stage, Brahma Bhuta Prasanata Nasochati Nakangshati, there's no more lamentation, there's no more hankering, no more desiring material things, no more imagining I'm the proprietor. Samak sarve sabute. So at that point one becomes a friend of all living entities. One no longer has friends and enemies. One sees everyone equally. One is he's a real pundit because he sees with equal vision. Vidyavinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hastani Suni Chaiva Spapakesa Pandita Samadarshina. One becomes Samadarshi. They see with equal vision all living entities because they see the soul inside the body of the living entity. They don't see the body. The body is a temporary covering. The soul is the real person. So when one has that spiritual vision of all living entities, human beings and animals and birds, insects, they understand that everyone as living beings has an eternal soul and they're part and parcel of Krishna. Then they become Samadarshi. They see with equal vision all living entities. Then Samak Sarve Subhute, so they're a friend to everyone. At that point, Gyatva Mam Santim Richati, they attain real peace. So one cannot remain in the quality of pure spiritual emancipation or Brahma Bhuta stage until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. As it says, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sadapasyanti Surayo. So all the devatas, all the saintly persons in the universe, they're always aiming for the lotus feet of the Lord. They're always trying to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam. Paramam Padam means his lotus feet are the supreme refuge and the supreme goal of the service of the devotees. So one cannot be, let's say, always in a spiritual consciousness unless they fix their mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. So this, another way of saying is Savai Manak Padara Vindayo. Ambarish Maharaj, Savai Manak, he always focused his mind on Krishna Padara Vindayo, on surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord. That means to be always engaged in the loving service of the Lord, and that is synonymous with always being Krishna conscious. And that's a position of factual liberation from the modes of passion and all material contamination. What keeps us in the cycle of birth and death is this contamination by the modes of passion and ignorance. And you read about that in the paper every day. Wars, killing, cheating, lying, all kinds of illicit activities, gambling, and so forth. It's all because of being influenced by rajas and tamas, passion and ignorance. When one comes to the level of goodness, one begins to understand a little bit about Krishna consciousness. But when one engages fully in devotional service, then they really understand. Just acting in the mode of goodness is not enough to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. But engaging full-time in the service of Krishna, one is liberated. And just like here it says, fixing the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna means to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, therefore, we see devotees make a decision that every spare moment they have, they'll come to the temple and do service. Because they want to be connected with Krishna. This is real yoga. This is real meditation. The other meditation that people do is called stupefaction. It's not meditation, because they're not fixing their mind on serving Krishna. If you fix your mind on serving Krishna, you don't sit idly in a room saying Om or whatever. You actually come to the temple and engage in practical service. Just like one time, there was a yogi. He was meditating in freezing water on a winter night, and it was brought to attention to one very wealthy man. He couldn't believe it. So he went to see the yogi, and sure enough, it was a freezing night, and he was in a lake in freezing water, meditating silently. But he couldn't believe it. He thought there was some trick. So he told him, if you do this all night, and I'm going to have my servants watch you, then I bet you can't do it. And if you do it, then I'll give you, some big amount of money. So the yogi, he didn't even say anything. Right? He wasn't interested in a bet. So that wealthy man thought he agreed. So he told his servants, watch him all night, make sure he doesn't cheat. I'm going to go to sleep. So the next morning he wakes up, and he comes out, and the yogi's still there, and the servant said all night he was there, didn't move. It's freezing cold. In fact, we're freezing, we're shivering. This guy was in the water all night long. So the king said, how did he do it? And one of them said, well, we're not sure, he said, but we think he was deriving heat from some source. And the king said, well, there's no electricity in this lake. I said, yeah, but there was one light way off in the distance. Maybe some mystical way he was getting heat from that light. The king said, oh, okay. So he told the yogi, I'm not giving you a cent because you cheated. You got heat from that light. Hare Krishna, Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Putali Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Nami Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Vancharani Visesha Ramskati Sata. The yogi said, I didn't get any heat from a light. So the yogi realized that, he was just trying to cheat him. Anyway, he didn't care. He said, okay, so what? And he went away. So one of the servants of the king, who was his cook, he heard about this, and he was really fuming mad to see how his boss cheated that yogi. So he decided to teach the king a lesson, the rich man a lesson. So next day the king said, look, I'm really hungry. I want you to make this special preparation. Go down to the market, buy these things, and make it for me. He said, sure, boss. So he goes down to the market, buys all the things, comes back. This is around 9 in the morning, so he comes back by 10. And the king the rich man always likes to take lunch at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock comes, no lunch. 1 o'clock comes, no lunch. 2 o'clock comes, no lunch. So the rich man is really upset. She goes down to the kitchen and says, what the heck's going on here? He says, take it easy, I'm still cooking. He said, what do you mean you're cooking? It's already 2 o'clock. How long does it take to cook? He said, I'm having a little difficulty, but it'll be ready soon. So what do you mean soon, like 6 o'clock? He said, I don't know, whenever it's done. So what do you mean? Let me see what you're doing. So he looks, and there's a pot, but it's way up near the ceiling, and there's a small fire, like a candle, way down on the floor. He said, what is this? He said, I'm cooking. He said, what kind of cooking is that? He said, well, it's the same kind of way of deriving heat, like the yogi. I said, what do you mean? So you said the yogi was getting heat from this electric light that was like half a mile away. So I'm cooking the pot with the candle, and it's not half a mile away. It's only about 20 feet away. The king said, "This is nonsense." He said, "Then what you said to the yogi must be nonsense." Then the king understood. He just got upset. He just walked away. So you see, no one can ever cheat anybody. They might get away with it in the short term, but in the long term, it bites them. So here, one must be actually and factually engaged in devotional service to be free of the modes of passion and ignorance. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You don't get free of passion and ignorance simply by doing pious activities. In fact, pious activities might increase the passion, because you do something, you get a good result, it convinces you to keep doing good things to get good results, and you stay in the material world that way. You don't get liberated. On the other hand, doing things out of duty to the spiritual master and to Krishna is different. There's no longer any sinful reactions involved. In fact, all sinful reactions are purified. So that is factual liberation as opposed to phony liberation. Okay, so this is the 6th chapter, 27th verse. Are there any questions? So we covered 627, and we covered 4:36 and 37, 7:14, 1865, right? 1865. There are a few more verses I threw in. 330 and 5:29. Okay, so we'll stop right there. Thank you very much. So tomorrow there's a seminar, the first seminar, Prabhupada Nectar. Then I'm going to give a series of seminars about Srila Prabhupada Nectar. Hare Krishna. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Hare Krishna.